Hey, what's going on, kids? And welcome to another edition of Kicker Rocks podcast. 2 drink minimum. How are you? How you doing? Hopefully well. In this episode, have you ever wondered how the Kicker Rock guys got to be where they are? What maybe influenced them to take the path they've currently chosen and are on? No? Well, too bad, because you're going to hear it right now with this podcast. We're talking about our influences in regards to this thing that we do, whatever you want to call it, creating content, creating sketches, films, podcasts, all of it. What influenced us from a young age and got us to be where we are today. So sit back, relax, have a drink with us, and enjoy. To everybody listening at home, and to you gentlemen here, cheers.
Cheers.
It's been a while, guys.
It's been 5 years.
It's been a long time, but it's 2 drink minimum, and I am Bill.
Sergio. Tony Marino.
James Thomas Malloy.
And today we are talking about what influenced us to make movies, right? Because that's what we do. Kind of, sort of. I mean, we make sketches, we make short films. Look, all right, I guess what we're talking about here is what influenced us to do what we love to do.
They used to call them stag films.
Whether it's a stag film, whether it's a movie, a TV show, a book you read, something that happened to you, I don't know. Whatever it is, a song you heard someday.
Something that happened to you?
Something dramatic that happened to you when you were
walking
younger.
down Crime Alley with my parents.
So yeah, anything like that. I guess what got you started on? Hey, someday I want to do that. I want to make movies, right? I think we all have that passion. We all have that moment or moments in our lives that solidified what we wanted to do, and so that's why we're here. We're going to talk about that right now. Anybody want to jump out and go first?
Oh, Bill. Nice job.
No,
Sergio pointed at Tony.
Ah.
You couldn't hear it.
All right. So
Tony, start us off right.
Sergio points in Spanish.
Yeah.
I can't start. I don't even know what my answer is yet. Go on.
I thought I knew mine, and then when we were talking about this podcast, it's like, what film influences you? Then it's like, what thing influences you? So then I started thinking back, and I'm like, I'm going through these movies that I love, and I always thought that it was 10-year-old me seeing Army of Darkness for the first time and being like, wait, this is awesome, and watching it over and over again, and then realizing like, hey, somebody got paid to do this, and then seeing the originals and realizing it was like a low budget thing. So I always say like, this is the movie that made younger me want to make movies. But then I was thinking back, like, I grew up in a house where there was, plays in the garage, or my parents doing sketches with their friends in the living room, or things like that. So maybe that's where it's from, or maybe it is cinema, or maybe it's like, I don't want to list another.
Did you get the performing itch first before the film bug?
Yeah,
so
like I was, I was the little theater kid and chorus kid when I was younger. Okay. I was the kid in school who wanted to make a video instead of handing in a report. Yeah. It was like, hey, your report's due in 2 weeks. It needs to be this, this, and this. And I was like, can I make a movie? All right, go ahead.
You did that too?
Oh yeah, but like I didn't grow up in a house that had a video camera, so I had to borrow
go on.
I had to borrow my uncle's camcorder, and like whether it was like a claymation thing or if it was a video with friends, like, dude, there's a video of Donald dressed up as an Eskimo with my dogs running around in the backyard that crushed this class that we were at. Like, it was great. But like back to thinking about a movie that influenced me, I always say Army of Darkness, but I think what I want to say is I think watching the movie Goonies as a kid and it seeming magical, and then watching it more and more as I got older, and it told the story and it still seemed magical, and that's one of those things where it was like, man, I want to try to do that with my friends and make something that makes me feel like a kid again. And that's absolutely not what we're doing. like we're making,
we feel
we're making
like
stuff
kids.
And
we act like kids.
Like it's cool and it's fun.
Yeah.
But it's not like it's like I feel like as a kid, like J.J. Abrams is what I thought that I was gonna do, or I wanted to, what I wanted to do, and I just didn't go that route. And it's probably because
J.J. Abrams did.
I don't know. This my whole answer was a mess. This is why I wanted Sergio to go first. But my whole point is like, I think I grew up in a house where like creativity was completely and totally encouraged.
Awesome.
Whether it was drawing or painting or acting or puppets, whatever it was always totally encouraged. And I think that's what made me get into, acting or performance, when I was a kid. I think as I got older, it was when you started to see movies that influenced you that you really liked, you realize like, well, a lot more goes into this. It's, whether it's the writing or the producing or the filmmaking. So yeah, I don't know. I guess my answer would be it's a combination of all of that mess that I just spit out.
It's a good answer.
It's all right. Yeah.
It's okay. It's good.
It's just nonstop brain.
No,
blast.
you've always
wait.
You've always been a performer.
So why an Eskimo? What was this like a project for?
Alaska. It was.
Oh.
That's why. But yeah, and like literally, we just grabbed my sister's like she had like a faux fur coat, and we just threw it over him and dragged this toboggan out of the garage, and just the most ridiculously ad-lib things, and it crushed.
Nice.
Thanks, Don.
Killed it.
Yeah.
And do you
Oh my God, Chris Wager was the cameraman. I forgot about that. Chris Wager was the cameraman, and I was like playing like a news anchor interviewing this Eskimo, and Chris was running camera and interacting with me as a cameraman. It was great. Yeah, it was really funny. Yeah, we were ridiculous. I will never show you that footage. It's on a VHS tape somewhere.
No, especially since they prefer Inuits now. So
listen,
we
played an Eskimo. This was back in the early 90s. Mid 90s.
I don't know if you heard of me. I'm called Woke Bill. So it's no, I'm kidding.
Joke Bill. You're joking.
Joke Bill. Right. No, that's awesome, man. So I did not know that about you though. You've always been doing that with your family and everything. You've always been performing.
Yeah, man. They're like at block parties and stuff. They would always end at my house, and there would be like some sort of SNL or style sketch going on in the garage.
That's cool.
Like
That's interesting.
curtains set up, and like people had their parts and stuff. So yeah, it was cool.
Were your parents in theater, like in their youth, or doing
Not
any
that
like
I know of,
performing
but
stuff?
they were always like performers in our house, if that makes sense. Like,
Interesting. That's really cool.
my mom wrote, she never had anything published, but she wrote stories and had, different things written. And like, she was always super creative where I didn't realize that we were never poor, but I didn't realize that we weren't well off at all until I got older. And we never wanted for anything though. But
Right.
like, friends had the video games, but at my house it was, hey, we're going to go in the backyard and we're going to do this. And it'd be some like magical imagination thing. And it was
We're going to create the
it was
video
totally
game.
rad. Like it was like this cool thing, that mom and dad did, so.
That's really cool that your parents influenced you that much, and they may not even have known that they were doing it, but they were just being themselves.
I realized it until recently, like thinking about it.
That's cool.
Do
you mind if I go next?
No,
because
no.
like it's perfect segue about how. So my parents, they didn't do anything. My parents weren't.
They actually yelled at Sergio.
Yeah. Actually, they yelled at me a lot and gave me a lot of chores and things to do around the house. But in my household, there weren't any stories or theatrics or anything like that. But what my dad did is he was the father who had the 8mm camera to record like every Christmas, every party, any social gathering that was happening. My dad had his camcorder or 8mm camera or whatever. So there's like footage of me at my baseball games when I was in T-ball, opening up presents, my sister, like house parties when even before I was born, the 8mm camera. So my whole life, he always was documenting what was going on with a camera. And when I was little, I hated it from the perspective of we would go to the beach, let's say. He would like say, all right, everybody stop. I'm gonna go down there, and I want you guys to walk towards me. Like he was that. Coordinated.
You got your directing chops from your father when you were a small child.
Wow.
And he wasn't even educated.
You're literally saying things you've said to us. God, stay here.
Right.
I need to go down there and frame this. All right, now go ahead and walk.
God, why do you suck? Stop sucking.
I hated it. I hated it as a little kid because we'd be at like whatever, Great America, and you'd want to just like be a kid, and your dad or my dad would just be like, stop, we got to get this. And if it didn't turn out right, he'd make us like rewalk. He'd rewalk the
So
path.
the point is, if you guys have been listening to our 40 plus episodes, you think like, oh, Sergio, we like him. He's such a sweet guy. False. False. On set, he's a beast.
Just like
You got to get the right shot.
Just like his
Gotta get
dad,
the right
apparently.
shot.
Got to get the right shot.
Dude, that's
So-
crazy. I didn't know your dad was like a camera guy.
So
That's awesome.
I mean, like I said, uneducated. He just like, and God bless him because now we have like
You
our
have all
entire
that.
lives.
Yeah.
We probably like in the 2000s, I helped my dad convert all that stuff, like all the film. We would project it on the wall, and I would bring a camcorder and we'd film it to digitize it.
I can
And then-
remember you doing this forever.
And then as soon as we got it to a point that DVDs are going away, I re-digitized everything to just be like movie files on my computer. So it's like I've literally digitized, I think we got 72 volumes an hour each. So 72 hours of like,
Dude,
and my
that's
dad,
so
like
much
my dad and I
content.
There's
sat.
a lot of stuff I wish I still had.
72 hours of Torres,
You could be
baby.
like, hey, Sergio, what'd you get for your 10th birthday? I'd be like, I don't know off the top of my head, but I can go find the DVD and find out and tell you what it was. So it's like, there's a
10th
lot
birthday, what was that? The 60s. So what was it?
of... No. That was
What'd you get, like a
86.
ball in the cup or
That's
something like
86,
that?
86.
Oh,
It was a ball in the cup because that toy doesn't get old.
fair enough.
I'd
Timeless.
be proud.
Good old timeless ball in a cup. Kids, that's what you're getting from Uncle Sergio.
But
Luna, if you're listening to this.
It's that
10
little
years from now.
baseball thing that you tilt with the tiny
Yeah.
marbles in it that line up in the hole.
exactly.
Right, yeah. When Luna's listening to this 10 years from now, that's why you got that gift from Uncle
Yeah.
Serge. That's why.
Uncle Sergio, why does Papa hate you? Oh, little Luna.
You love the ball in the cup. Do not lie. All right.
But okay, so my dad filmed a lot. I wouldn't say that necessarily made me want to make films, but it definitely gave me access to all of his camera equipment. Because it wasn't until like my late high school years that I was like, oh, let me grab this stuff. And I remember just doing like random video shoots with my friends Mike and Steve in my high school years. And then my freshman year, I went to Moraine Valley before I went to Columbia. And I took a film class there, and that's when I made my first like trying to structure a film. And I think I showed a couple of you guys before, and it was really, really bad, but it was still fun. And that started planting the seed
So
of
the New
having
Orleans one?
access to.
Didn't you film something in New Orleans?
I did.
Oh,
That was JT.
All right, sorry.
Yeah.
Sorry.
But that was really, I want to say it was the fact that my dad loved to document our family life. And I'm so glad that he did because it gave me so many great memories that I can just sit down and watch. But then it also gave me access to his VHS recorder and just like.
Did you ever film anything on his 8mm?
No, I wish I had, but at the same time,
You got to
it
send
was
that
so
out and get
expensive. I was
developed.
gonna say it's so expensive to film on like.
That's what I was
8mm
asking.
Film. It's like to get that developed and then wait to We live in a convenient age, ridiculously convenient,
Yeah.
and it's wonderful.
Can you imagine, like, just think back to the first time you used like a VHS recorder, that giant shoulder rig,
Yeah,
or the one that was the smaller one, but then you had the backpack that
Well, and
basically
they
had a VCR on the
they had the
backpack.
actual
I had the
tape,
backpack.
Yeah.
had the actual VHS in it
Yep.
spinning as you're
Right.
recording.
yeah,
that we had to use, and then you were either just pausing recording to do your cut and edit
Yeah.
right there, or you were finding VCRs later and dubbing.
Doing the
Yeah,
dub
yeah.
thing.
But
how
now
I made
We
Kids
literally
have-
hit a button on our phone and
kids
we're
have-
recording live.
Yeah, kids have iMovie on their
crazy.
tablets and their phones where they can just film something and edit now. And it's like, can you imagine
And
like
they still suck. No.
but like, can you imagine 12-year-old us
Oh
with
my God.
that?
Oh, it would have been so nice.
That would have been so
I
fun.
wouldn't even know you guys.
ass.
We would, because we'd all be famous.
It's true.
For the wrong reasons. For being annoying.
Man.
That's funny.
Awesome. Sorry, we never had like the old school home movies like that. But what I will say, just to chime back in, like my parents' friends, before they were dating, they were friends, and their friends had an 8mm camera, and they actually got married in what is called as the mock wedding of when they were kids. But their friends wanted to make this movie of these two people getting married, and then they end up at Indian Hill, and they go through this whole thing. And I remember seeing that. We heard about it as kids forever, and then finally, 4 years ago, somebody found the footage and handed it over, and I was able to just edit a rough thing to show like my mom might have. But it was like one of those things where it's like, dude, our parents have been doing all this stuff that we've been doing as kids, and you don't realize it until you see something like that.
Yeah.
You know, it's wild. It's just interesting. I don't know. I just want to chime in.
No, it's cool.
All right, we get out of here, guys.
I'm kidding.
Who's up? Is it Bill or JT?
All right, I'll go. Because they're going to steal JT's. No,
Mine's going to be long and self-indulgent. So.
Oh, what?
Can't
No.
I influence myself.
Wait. I have. You want to hear self-indulgent? I haven't gone yet. So let me know. So I didn't really get into film until later on in life. My first love was always. I think I might have told this before on the podcast, and if I did, I'm sorry. But my earliest influence in that respect was probably watching Johnny Carson on The Tonight Show, watching him do his monologues, and if he had a comedian on, I'd sometimes get to stay up and watch that. The first impression I did was Carson, so I really liked that. I really liked a guy who could make everybody laugh around him. So that was a big influence for me when I was really young. The one memory I have of when I really got the bug to perform was the first time I made an audience laugh, which was 5th grade. I was 11. It was the school play, and it was the school play was about like saving the planet and saving the children. I don't know. It was 1994. It was really like hitting it over the head where we gotta save the world and stuff like that. And The Simpsons made fun of it actually with the whole children of the future thing. If you're a Simpsons fan, you remember that episode where they have that song in there. That's basically what our show was. So it was very funny. But it was a very serious show for a grammar school show. But I had the one maybe ridiculous funny line in the whole show. So this whole show is like a real drab, right? A real like, we're destroying the planet, our children are dying thing. And then I come in with this really over the top, well, at least I said it over the top line of, woe is me, pollution and confusion are all I see, oh, woe is me. But I did that way over the top and huge, and the entire audience of parents busted up laughing. And it was the first time I made an entire room like a gymnasium, like I killed with one line.
And you were instantly high.
It was the only line I had, exactly. And I was like, oh man.
Nice.
And I had this like shit-eating grin on my face like the rest of the time. And we didn't have a backstage, so we had to exit through the crowd right on the side to go back out to like the hallway. So we're walking through and everyone's still laughing. And I looked over and I saw my parents still laughing, probably from embarrassment that their kid just did that. But I looked over and I remember like that was the moment I'm like, I made all these people laugh. This might be the best feeling in the world. How do I keep doing this again? And since then I've failed. But the point is, you got to have dreams, kids. You got to try. So anyway, but that was the moment I realized like, wow, I want to do this. I didn't know what it was. I didn't know I wanted to be an actor or whatever. I knew that I want to entertain people. I want to make people laugh because that feels really good to me. So that's what I want to do. So fast forward a couple years and I'm doing theater stuff in school. I really like that. I liked theater at first instead of film because I got a little pretentious and I was like, theater's live, film is cold, that kind of thing. If you're a theater nerd, you know exactly what I'm talking about. Don't pretend like you don't.
Everyone who's ever in high school theater has said or felt what you have just said, so it's fine.
So it's fine. until the first time I was like, actually doing film, and I had done it before that to a certain extent. I don't want to bury the lead with something JT might bring up, but we basically, JT and I, when I was 10 years old, made Jurassic Park 3 before there was a Jurassic Park 3. So we deserve royalties somewhere along the way. Shout out to Kevin Fired, who was also in the film. So, we should probably seek that at some point because it's been a franchise since then. So, but I'm just saying.
I hate to burst your bubble, but Part 3 didn't make that much
right,
money
but
anyway,
but we had, our Part 3 was better. If it was our Part 3, the story we were telling was pretty damn good. So, and if you look at it, which you guys will never see, but we did work with like perspective and things like that, and we edited on freaking tape, on VHS tape. I said we edited, JT did all of it mostly. So I was, I didn't do shit. I wore a cowboy hat and pretended I was Dr. Grant for a couple hours. It was awesome. Anyway, but then in my early 20s is when I actually got the, film bug. The first time I was on a set for like a web series, basically. It was the first time I had been shot from like multiple different angles for one scene and all that stuff. And I got to actually see how the sausage was made, so to speak, how everything got put together. And I fell in love with it. I'm like, oh, wow, holy cow, this is great. Some of my favorite movies of all time have been made just this way. They all started out like this, right? Sure, why not? Whatever. My naive brain thought that. So that's what I went with. That's pretty much what I still go with and what I still do.
And
but
in most cases, you're right.
Yeah, right? You never know. Yeah, when you actually see how it gets made, it's weird to think how much time goes into 5 minutes of film. Yep. We do, for example, we do the 48-hour film project. It takes us a full 48 hours to put together a 6 to 7 minute film. We shoot way more than 6 to 7 minutes.
But that's also us rushing. I was talking to somebody today where
true.
It's like, dude, if you look at a 30-second commercial, like that could be absolutely weeks or months of work.
Yeah.
It could be, yeah.
Whether it's writing or shooting and then reshooting.
That's a better example.
It's
you're
crazy
right.
to go. That's what goes into it.
It's nuts. It's nuts. And I've seen it, like, it's almost wasteful sometimes. Like, I've seen it, the first time I saw it firsthand was, so I was in this little film called The Dark Knight, and we've talked about this before. I also was cut out of The Dark Knight. So,
Too
hey,
good.
how you doing?
Too good.
I was too good. They were like, look, you look better than Christian Bale, and we can't have that. So
Bale says no way.
yeah. Yeah. So anyway, I saw that I was in a scene where they constantly were crashing this truck into a barricade and running the barricade over and destroying it. And every take they had to reset the barricade. And it was a lot of stuff that went into it. Point being, that part of the scene is not in the movie. It's not in the finished product. You never see that truck drive through that particular barricade and everything. So they shot it over and over and over again to not use it in the finished product,
It was probably
which
like
is
a $50,000 stunt.
par for the course. Could have been.
That was just-
It could have cost them to make that barricade over and over again because it smashed through it. Like, it wasn't the same one. Like, oh, let's just set it up again. It was a new barricade coming in every time. So maybe maybe not thousands of dollars, but still to keep replenishing that asset over and over again to eventually not use it in the film at all is crazy. And that's what the reality is of filmmaking. The films we see have so many hours of footage that never sees the light of day, which is one thing I find fascinating, is one reason that I keep doing what I do. I've talked for way too long. That was probably really self-indulgent. JT, help me.
Bro.
Save me. Save me.
You good?
JT's up.
Go on, JT. Go.
No, God. I've been making movie stuff as literally as far back as I can remember. Like,
Goodfellas.
yeah, exactly. Like early grade school. It was funny. Tony, you were talking about kind of like I didn't realize that, my family didn't have like all that much money, like either until I was older. Cause it was like when we were younger, it was like my cousins and my uncle had like all the cool toys and and the video camera, and we didn't have that shit in my house. And it was like second grade and stuff. I was like, like going to Michigan with them, and like they always had their video camera, and I like pretty much hijacked it. Like I wanted to do stuff, It was like stuff that influenced me. I was always like a monkey see, monkey do kind of kid, like all the way up till now, where it's just like it's just constantly influenced by everything. There's so many different fandoms, because it was like with me and my cousins, like Darcy and Dennis, and we were like, I was like in second grade, like directing them making a Batman movie, because it was like around the time probably Batman '89 came out. And then it was like just never stopped. It was like every time I hung out with them, we made a movie, like literally every time. So it was like whatever was out then, I made a sequel to it. It was like, I made The Fugitive 2. You know what I mean? I made we even made like a Jurassic Park and a Jurassic Park 2, and that's why we hit Jurassic Park 3 when I was with Bill and Kevin. And I think that was 7th grade for me. And it was like, that was the 3rd installment of my Jurassic Park trilogy. So it was like, no, but I just never stopped making stuff. Star Trek, Star Wars, like everything just never, ever, ever, ever stopped. And like, then I got into comic books, and then, me, you, and cousin Kevin would like make like Spider-Man and X-Men type stuff. And like,
what's the one you guys did where Bill disappears?
Which one?
Oh, that was one that we were bored. Someone's Destiny.
Oh, Someone's Destiny.
That was we literally it was just us three like hanging out, and then it was kind of like, you got your camera? Yeah.
Right.
We're just hanging out, chilling, and we just decided to shoot some random shit that night. And it was funny.
Yep. So I never stopped. I've been making stuff. I've probably made like seriously like 5,000 things or something. It's just ridiculous how much there is, and I wish I had like. I wish I could go back and see all of it. You know what I mean?
Why didn't you save any of this?
We did.
Where is it?
We do have a little bit of it.
Finding it.
What type of?
No, I know
media
where some.
are they
I know where
on?
some of it is.
Yeah, and you'll never tell
Some of it's on
anybody,
DVD, but
right?
right. No, but it's like every year, every time it would just get a little bit better. And then I went to Columbia College for it, and even in high school, I had a TV production class that I was in. That like it was like I was in the regular version of it, and then like you got to be like two like almost like student helpers in like a secondary version of it that me and this other kid were in like junior year, because sophomore year was the first year. I don't know. So anyway, yeah, I never stopped. But then, no, like I was saying, I didn't have the cool stuff. I didn't have the camera, so it was like my Uncle Pat eventually like said to my mom, he's like, "Get this kid a camera," you know what I mean? Like, and eventually they did, but like. Before I even had the shoulder-mounted VHS, when I had my uncle donated to me like in like 7th grade, which is what we shot Jurassic Park 3 on, the shoulder bag,
Yep, the big ass
JVC,
one. Yep.
where like you're carrying a literal.
It's like 40 pounds.
Yeah,
It was
you're carrying
crazy.
like a VCR on your shoulder,
And then the batteries
and then
on those
like a
things were
tiny
massive.
Dude, there is a Polaroid of you, me, and Kevin somewhere with you holding that thing.
Yeah, and the picture quality was so bad. It was the kind where it was like the light would bleed
In Michigan.
constantly.
Yeah.
You know, it's like if you shined it at a light and moved it really fast,
Yep.
you would just see the light bleed all over the place. You know, like.
But
You know what? Jurassic Park 3 still holds up. 26 years later.
the real one
holy
or
shit,
your
world.
version?
Our version.
Kevin and I made a Lost World also before there was a Lost World movie, and our version stayed closer to the book.
Well, you guys,
'Cause we read the book.
you guys showed me that before. I remember you showed me that, and you're like, "Yeah, we're gonna make Jurassic Park 3. You want to be in it?" I was like, "Please, yeah."
When the T-Rex knocks over the trailer, and we turn the VHS recorder on its side, and then fell toward the wall.
Dude, my brother Paul is in it. Paul got eaten by the T-Rex. You remember that?
He did.
Paul, if you're
All
listening,
right, so you said you use perspective.
yeah.
Did you use a fake T-Rex?
Oh,
to
absolutely.
eat
Oh,
Paul?
Kevin had all the toys.
Yep.
Oh,
Kevin
okay,
had all
nice.
the Jurassic Park toys because he was like a huge Jurassic Park nerd. So we had like the Baryonyx, which we called Snapper,
Yep.
and Velociraptor, all that stuff, and like the big rubber T-Rex looking one.
All right,
That was like
that's when I was thinking that ate your brother.
That's the one.
Yeah?
Yeah.
I knew it.
You hold that a certain way to the camera, looks real.
To that camera.
Looks real. It ain't my brother, okay? It ain't my brother.
no, but shit started getting cool once I went to Columbia and I actually learned how to
We started adding effects
do
in.
this stuff for real. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And then like we started After Effects and all that stuff, and then like as like an early graduation present, a year early. My mom got me a MacBook G4 laptop in like 2004. Yeah. So and I had Final Cut Express on it, and a maybe some Adobe software too that I acquired, and so like. I was like, oh, you guys, you know, now we can actually have Cyclops shoot an optic blast, you know, like,
the optic blast,
and
right?
stuff like that. And so like the quality actually shot up just a little bit because I could actually edit, you know, and stuff like that. So I don't know.
That's cool.
Yeah, never stopped. Just kept going. Turned professional. And if you want to hear about that, me and Sergio did a podcast about that.
Right.
And now you're here, so you've you've downgraded. So that's cool.
No, but I'm still the same way.
Anyway.
I'm monkey see, monkey do. I'm like, I have fandoms and I like to do stuff for them. You know what I mean? And now it's kind of like, you know, I'm just constantly influenced by stuff and constantly spitting it back out. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I think
Instead
that's
of
humans.
and now it's not like carbon copies of stuff that I liked.
No,
in
it's
third
more
grade.
just homages.
Now
where
it's
kind
like
of
Sapphire Spectre, where it's like, oh, it's like Ghostbusters and Witchblade and this and that. You know what I mean? Like,
Well, I mean, that being said, that's probably why we're never going to stop, to the detriment of everybody listening. They're like, one of these guys is going to knock it off. We're not. We're going to keep coming at you until we are millionaires. That's just the way it is.
I just want to say
That's the way the biz goes.
Kick Rock made it fun again. Because I spent a couple years just being professional, you know, and then like it was just like, oh my God, I'm so sick of corporate bullshit.
I'm
then
gonna piggyback on that.
Yeah.
Because like
I might piggyback on your piggyback. Go ahead.
For me,
I'll carry on.
my career has always been advertising and like doing corporate shit. For me, my day job, I'm always having to take someone else's edit or criticism, or you know, they don't like this, I got to change something. For me, Kick Rock has always been a fun and a blessing because it was. I love the fact that we as a group say, if you take the time to write the script and you want to do it, we're going to do it. And we're going to do it the way that you as the writer envisioned it. Mm-hmm. And I love that because when I write something, I don't have to make an edit from somebody who like, oh, I don't like that color, or I don't like that wording, or I don't like this. I'm just like, well, that's how I wrote it, and this is how I want to do it.
Right.
And that's what I love about what we do.
And we'll give little pointers or whatever, and sometimes, you know, like help stuff like, oh, that's a great idea. Yeah, we should do that. Or, you know, but generally, you know, it's like the showrunner's vision, if you will.
Yeah, exactly.
Right. Like for me, like no one was hiring me for acting, so I might as well hire myself, you know? So Kick Rock's great for that. I can just be in everything. It's awesome.
Exactly.
So
Do I need screen time? Yeah. I'll get some screen time.
Everything?
I'll just write myself
Everything?
into my own sketch.
everything. Everything. All right. Anyway, so in other words, we're having fun with what we're doing, and we're still going to continue to have fun. We're going to keep doing what we're doing. That's what brought us to what we love, and we're gonna keep going strong, hopefully. That being said, stop talking, Bill. All right, Tony, do your thing. Take us out, man.
This has been Kick Rock's podcast, 2 Drink Minimum, where we've been drinking, thinking, talking shop, and we're going to keep doing it to the tippy top, to the whippy wop, to the slippy slop, lip lap, dip 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 dip.
That's my line. That's my line, you bastard.
Chop, dip. Oh, who doesn't love Kevin Bacon?
I'm stopping this right now. It's ridiculous. And that's going to do it for this episode of 2 Drink Minimum. Thank you so much for tuning in. Remember, if you want to reach out to us, you can do so on Facebook. Just go ahead and comment right on our page. Let us know what you liked about the podcast. Let us know what you disliked. Just give us your thoughts in general. Hey, give us some podcast topics that you want to hear in the future. We would love that. We would use that. We would give you what you want. We want to give the fans what they want. All, let's say 5 of you, what you want. Anyway, we hope you enjoyed this podcast. Thank you so much for tuning in. Hope you're staying safe and healthy out there. This has been 2 Drink Minimum. We've been drinking, thinking, and talking shop. Cheers, everybody.